Hello, I'm Juna Cheng. Welcome our viewers from Kenya and around the world to yet another episode of Smart News. This program takes a global and exclusive look at hard-hitting topics in the world of education, science, and technology. But first, hear the news making headlines. 4 Saudi women get driving licenses. 10 Saudi women swapped their foreign licenses for Saudi ones in a multiple city, including the capital Riyadh, as the kingdom prepares to end its ban on June 24th. The move, which follows a government crackdown on women activists, is part of a much-publicized liberation drive launched by the powerful Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman as he seeks to modernize the Pretoria Strait. More than 180 inmates in a medium-security prison in central Nigeria were at large after unidentified gunmen opened fire on the facility. The government said on Monday, June 4th, the attack happened late on Sunday at the jail in Tuga area of the Niger state capital. Guards were overpowered and inmates were able to escape. Out of the 210 inmates that escaped from prison, 28 have been arrested and 182 are still at large. Cambridge University asks for help for attracting black students. A Freedom of Information request by the Financial Times showed some Cambridge colleges admitted no black British students have been admitted to the school since 2012. Of Cambridge's 29 undergraduate colleges, 6 admitted fewer than 10 black British or mixed-race students between 2012 and 2016. On today's discussion, we'll be focusing on education, and more specifically, we'll be looking at free speech among colleges, and we want to see what really constitutes free speech and when it's actually revered as hate speech and when it actually should be silenced. Remember, our social media handles are Facebook at Juna Chieng, Twitter at Ochieng June, and our SMS line is 44244. Emily Nokonga says, many universities have been subject to boycotts and strike due to lack of free speech. Looking forward to this discussion, #SmartNews. We now move on to a feature story by our very own Lillian Bavaru.
Students continue to have information shoved at them and are sometimes ignored when they want something different. Sure, there are times when that can be blamed on accountability and mandates, which lecturers cannot always control. Those rules have been the epitome of compliance. Other times, however, it is merely due to the way education has always been. Nicholas Atolo is a student at Daystar University. He talks to us about his experiences in fighting for students' right to freedom of speech and why he is always at the forefront in voicing out his opinions to the university administration.
For you to be in a good environment, you also need to be part of it. And me trying to stand out so that the administration can know what the students are going through is one thing that just came in me, and I came to realize that as much as we came here to learn, but we also came here to leave it a better place. It will not be something good that after like 2 or 3 years to come, when I'm done with school, then you hear that some things in school are not going well because you decided to be silent in school. So I decided to be part of it because I knew at the end of it, everything will be fine with the students and also the school.
Paul Ogola, who is a member of the university administration, talks to us on why the university administration tends to silence students' opinions and views.
Many times students are right, and many times administration is also right. But we normally think that when students are complaining, most of the time students are right, even if they are not right. I like minds that reason. I like minds that distill issues. But most of the time, that is not what we are seeing in our universities. We see people who react with emotions instead of reacting with mental maturity. They reason, what I may say, in a novice manner, something that is not pure, but attached to the feelings.
The administration tend to take us as kids. Yeah, we can say we are still kids, but at least we came to school to get an upper hand in understanding. So we understand what we're supposed to do. We know what is supposed to be done. So we're trying to show the administration or maybe the staffs involved that we know what is supposed to be done, and they are like, these kids don't know what they really want. And you may end up being called names, you end up being threatened because they think that you'll back down, but at the end of it, you just need to stand up again and fight for it.
The whole concept of voice in schools centers around not always believing you need to get what you want, but at least having a place at the table and being responsible for what you say. Too many students are taught about compliance and not enough about using their voice in meaningful and productive ways. Institutions of higher learning need to find a balance between teaching students on how to be successful in school without losing their independence and feeling compliant in order to survive in our educational system. Reporting for Smart News, I am Lillian Wawero.
Lillian joins us live from Daystar University. Lillian, if you can get me, what is your conclusion on this story?
Thank you very much, June. I think one of the things we have to remember, even in institutions of higher learning, freedom of speech is a right that is protected by the Constitution. And this is something that has to be embraced even in institutions of higher learning. Students should be able and should be given an opportunity to air their grievances and not be victimized about it. Communication is key. How will we get better or move towards becoming civil and going to higher heights if we cannot communicate the grievances we have? So I think students should be given that right, and it should be protected by all means possible. Back to you, June.
Moving on, remember that our topic of today is free speech among our campuses today. Our social media handles are Facebook at June Ochieng, Twitter at Ochieng June, and our SMS line is 44244. I can see some of your comments are now actually streaming in, and I would like to read one of them. One from Esther Karaoke says, most of our universities tend to punish student leaders for voicing the students' opinions. Thank you very much, Esther, for that comment. And indeed, as you have seen in our feature story, how student leaders are actually punished for voicing out the students' opinions. We are now joined live by a guest panelist, and one of them is Priska Achol, who is a student at Daystar University and also a social activist. Thank you very much, Priska, for joining us. Do you think that free speech is an issue that students face in campus?
Thank you, June. Yes, it is an issue, especially in Daystar University. People are not allowed to express their grievances. You are not allowed to say what you don't like, because sometimes you'll be summoned by people in those positions. So these, actually most students, they fear saying the truth. They just keep quiet. Whether you don't have enough water in the hostel, they keep quiet. Whether you're getting bad food, you are getting food poison, they just keep quiet because they don't want to be victimized.
Being an activist yourself, why do you fight for students to have the freedom of free speech?
Personally, I don't like injustice, because you cannot suffer and keep quiet. And this is a Christian university where you are taught ethics, you learn more about Bible, taking care of one another, you being honest and something like that. And I remember last semester there was this theme, stand to be counted, and when people stand for the truth, they were victimized. Like in the first boycott, people were told not to post photos on social media. Other people were told not to take photos. And remember, this is a communication university, so I'm wondering, how can Daystar be a school of communication, yet people are not supposed to speak for their right, you know? And when we attend classes like media ethics, other classes where you're told, oh, always be honest and say the truth, you find what we learn in class and what we practice outside here is totally different.
Well, thank you very much, Priska, for that. We are also now joined live by Abed Oraga, who is also a social activist and also a student at Daystar University. Thank you very much, Abed, for joining us. Well, what do you think that universities should improve on so that to maintain this freedom of free speech among their students?
Personally, I think more structures and avenues should be put in place to improve, to make sure that students express themselves more. Just apart from either meetings, barazas, they should put more regular structures that will help, yeah.
In your opinion, when do you think that freedom of speech is veered into hate speech?
The problem with freedom and speech is the fact that it's not a constant. We can't put a manual to define that this is hate speech, this is freedom of speech. So I think it's a matter of being more careful and interpreting, letting the judiciary interpret the law for us clearly. But this is a matter that it's a debate that it won't end anytime soon. Yeah.
Oraga, what are some of the challenges that you have faced while trying to fight for freedom of free speech?
One thing, it's funny that no one believes us. As in, older people just see us kids. Yet they forget that we have all this time. We do research. We've gone to higher learning institutions, so we do research. It's unfortunate that some will just lie on your face even after you've given them your evidence. Then they'll tend to say, we've lived our experience. Yes, and we appreciate the fact that you're sharing that experience with us. But to some extent, just hear us out. Sometimes we don't even want these issues to be solved immediately. We just want to make you people aware that, there's ABC issues that need to be handled. So kindly do something about them as soon as you can. I've received text messages, I've been called at night, you should stop, or you won't finish school, you're making life hard on yourself and all that. But some of these things you don't ignore, but it makes me be more careful on what I say, why I say it, when I say it, and to whom I'm saying it to. Once you have that in your mind, then you're sure that if you're talking about something that it's true, you have the evidence, the right person you're telling, and why you're telling them is because you believe that they can make that change. The problem is they just don't want to make that change. So at the end of the day, even if we go on a trial, then I'll be found clean because I did what I could to the best of my knowledge. Yeah.
Very interesting comments there. Thank you, Raga. And you also now joined live by Mr. Peter Masindano, who is a senior lecturer at Daystar University in the Department of Communication. Thank you for joining us. What are the reasons why campuses and universities opt to silence campus leaders?
Yeah, my take on that issue would be that most managers or university administrators would not stand being challenged by the student leadership, and I think that becomes the main concern, because when you hear of differences between students and the university leadership, it is usually the university has done something, either they have raised college fees without consultation, or they have not made certain demands or expectations that the students have. And usually when they would be articulating such concerns, the university would think that the students ought to be silent.
Well, I believe our universities stand for different ideals and principles, and for them to go to such extreme lengths in order to silence students when they are fighting for justice is quite dishonorable. That is all the time that we had for you today. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. I have been your host, Juna Chiang.